Good afternoon. Welcome, guys. Thank you for being here. So just taking some moments to settle in before we really get started today with what's going to come through. I'm going to invite you to get comfy. If you've got a few minutes, great. Stop what you're doing, get comfy, close the outward-facing eyes, maybe make an intention to turn those outward-facing eyes inwards and drop that seat of seeing into the heart and center now, making that intention to receive whatever's for you throughout this transmission in a way that's in highest alignment, benevolent, loving, and kind. I don't know what's going to come through, but I know that we're in the middle of a phenomenal planetary shift. I went live with Jiva yesterday. I'll share the link to that in the Facebook group. There was a lot of channeling. There was a lot of energetic support from the dragon consciousness, which connects us to our vastness. And they were earth dragons, Sirius dragons, and they all had a lot to say. And they all had a lot to bring through. But the overriding theme that seems to be live now is that Mama Gaia is calling her children home to oneness as bodies that remember themselves as the love that they are, one within all of life, one within the breath of life, breathing itself, regenerating moment to moment, renewing moment to moment. You've heard a lot of talk about reverse aging, possibly, I think, depending on who you've been listening to. And this is, like I always say, there's not a reverse aging, there is a coming into alignment with the ever-renewing breath of creation. And there was a shift in the collective field yesterday, phenomenal pieces of work, which a lot of us would have been involved with differently in our own unique, special ways. We've all got gifts in the collective that we bring to the whole. So I can really share from what I was seeing and my part and Jiva part in what was coming through yesterday. But a lot of people are talking to me at the moment about feeling very tired. And of course, when there is phenomenal death, rebirth, and realignment happening in the body, and the body is reaccommodating its vibratory, resonant knowingness of oneness, those divine resonances of unconditional love, the energy biology of the body has to completely die and be reborn. It has to be reconfigured. And there is a phenomenal, shall we say, feat of engineering. But it's not as though we're under construction with scaffolding. It's more that we are being called home into that deep bodily remembering of the I that knows itself as one within all life, one within the planet, one within the self. And that is generating a vibratory state that's allowing our energy biology and the energy biology directly relating to our physiology to be regrowing from within, the same way a plant grows when it expands. Now, the other thing that came through is that we are all set and good to go, firmly rooted for a huge creation expansion. That we are, as we more and more collectively embody the oneness vibration, that our creations are less and less something we perceive as separate, and more as something we honor and recognize as collective. That we're moving out of very old templates for how we create, where there's one director and lots of subordinates, but that we are equal parts of groups, of circles, of communities, of collectives, each bringing our unique gifts to collective co-creations. In order to prepare us from this, there's been a really supportive anchoring of rooting us down. Lots of emphasis in previous months of grounding and earthing, and that is still true now. And there are so many different ways to be grounded and earthed. You know, we can be earthed in the center of ourselves, as well as through the soles of our feet, as well as energetically into the core of Gaia, as well as earthed into the here and now present moment. There are so many dimensions to being grounded. And we tend to think of maybe one or two, but there's so many different ones. So our earthing, the deeper our roots go, the more stable we are, the more centered we are, the more expansion can happen. Expansion that's happening now is benevolent, it's harmonious, and it's kind of like it's wanted that we are supported, that we are stable in our expansion now. It's not just our energy biology, it's our physical everyday life actions. So there was a huge emphasis just recently on, I don't know if you noticed this, paying attention to the home space. And there was a lot of support in the collective field for creating specific domain in the home for those very specific activities that are part of our day that connect us to who we are and what we do. Of course, like I was saying yesterday, it's great if we're doing from the truth of our beingness, but we are taken as we are at the moment, as enough, exactly as we are at the moment. Now, what we've had is rooting, we've had domain, creating physical domain in our physical environments for what we do. And now what we're getting is coming online is the Divine Father archetype, which is protection, a safe container. And this supports us in staying anchored in the truth of ourselves while we open to creative, collective connections. While we are gently invited now, especially with this half moon, into the grace of relating to each other as the love we know we are. And by doing so, really being able to see ourselves as that love, as part of the collective co-creative picture, not a part, but part of. This sounds so loving and beautiful, but we have to honor the fact that when there's expansion, when there's huge shifts, when there's big resets, and they are very physical, of course, what is not love can be shaken up to the surface. And it's beautiful to be kind with ourselves while we go through this and not feel like, but I'm not feeling that love for my fellow human being. I'm feeling this, or this. And to really honor, be honest, and allow all the feelings that are here now. So, that's the kind of bringing us up to date to the present moment. And like I say, yesterday, what we were perceiving was this canopy of dragon wings, was how it was shown to me energetically, surrounding the earth in one of her upper stratospheres. And then we had the dragons right at the core of Gaia, calling the children home and supporting them to drop into that bodily dropping to that deep knowingness. The body has its own consciousness, its own conscious awareness of being part of the vastness of all that is. And the dragon consciousnesses that are, around the core and center of Mama Gaia, energetically, really working a lot with us to hold us in that restful, children come home. Let go of what you're holding. Drop. And let your tensions fall away. And sure enough, with that movement that I was being shown yesterday as a collective global movement, there was this beautiful lifting up of a control pattern in the collective consciousness of humanity, very connected to kind of illusory belief born in separation of how if anything happens in the earth, it's because we've done it. If the earth needs healing, we've got to do it. If the earth is, if we want to hurt the earth, we can. And there's this, that just fell away. It lifted off. And it lifted off because of that resonant knowingness of, oh, if we are one with all of life, and all of life is self-regenerative, and so are we, and so are our bodies, then we're not the only thing controlling what happens in the planet. And there was this lovely lifting off of control patterns held in the collective consciousness of humanity. And as that lifted, what I was showing was a huge canopy of dragon wings, very representative and symbolic. Not actually what the energetics are up there, but a huge canopy of dragon wings surrounding, anchoring in the upper stratosphere of the earth, holding humanity in a shifted place where we've totally changed. Yeah, I can say this, I'm just checking, we've totally changed our trajectory in how we're coming home to ourselves within the planet. How are we evolving with Gaia as she also ascends? So how are we ascending within Gaia, and within the evolutionary trajectory of her ascension, how are we ascending together? We were headed for climate disaster. I didn't realize quite how strong that was. I just didn't believe in it, but I've been shown that yes, we were, and we have averted the need to evolve by, I would say that's a karmic way of evolving, creating the crisis and then learning from the crisis about what we don't want. So I think there are two ways of moving forward. I mean, we'll move out of energy updates soon. We'll go into, I think, a meditation, possibly a channeling. So, but bear with me, we just quite a lot to recap at the moment. So there's two ways of evolving, and we're moving forward. And we know this, one is to move towards what we do want because we're so excited about it and it lights us up and the energy just drives us. Or there's, and that's kind of the energy that drives us also keeps us going. It's self-sustaining, that way of moving forward, self-energizing, self-sustaining. And that's a grace way of moving forward and being motivated to act. And of course, we know the other way, which is usually much easier to get motivated this way, which is we're driven by running away from what we don't want, by moving away from what we really don't want. So we cause problems for ourselves. We show ourselves that what we're doing is causing things we don't like. We learn from that to do less of what we don't like and go looking for what we do like. Now, that's a karmic way of moving forward. It's cause and effect. The grace way is to drop, and this is what I think is going to lead us into meditation now. So the grace way of moving forward is to know that we already are vibrating with the resonant truth of beingness, within which is the infinite possibility of all that's for us that is benevolent, harmonious, loving, and kind. And we can drop into this general truth, this spaciousness, when we're facing anything in our manifested creations. And we can ask, while focusing on this, whatever is in front of us in our lives and world, we can drop into that place and ask from this perception and this perspective, what is? And we're asking from that isness beyond all of everything, from a place beyond need, beyond story, beyond the creation, and beyond activity, where we simply are and all is. It's an enoughness place,